What is up, everybody? Ninja Nick back with another round of the Pokemon Trading Card Game World Championships 2024. We've got Xander Perot on the left versus Ji-hun Choi on the right. Lost Box on the right versus Xander's Mew VMAX. So it'll be important to see who is able to win this. I would say Lost Box is probably favored, usually if they have the... They like turn the lights off on them. Usually if they have the Drapion, but it's entirely possible that a lot of people cut out, or at least it sounded like a lot of people cut Spiritomb and Drapion out of their deck list for this tournament because Mew was nowhere to be found. Everybody thought that the deck was dead because of those two cards. But of course, if you're going to cut the tech that beats the matchup, then people will take note of that and then start playing the thing that lost to those techs, since those techs are no longer being played. So, of course, a lot of people in this tournament were not playing Spiritomb or Drapion both days, so there happened to be quite a few Mews that ended up doing pretty well. And as you can see here, Xander is at 5-0, so is Ji-hun, so we will have to see which one of these players wins this game, because whoever does advances to Day 2, automatically they get dropped from the Day 1 tournament. And Xander going first gives him a huge advantage. This Mew deck usually doesn't attack until turn 2. It can with the Fusion Strike energy package with the Elisa Sparkle and the Meloetta, but it's pretty hard to set up with the current build of the deck. You're usually using the Fusion energies more so as a counter to the Spiritomb, instead of just a way to knock out things turn 2. You can knock out things turn 2, but it really requires a specific type of hand that's just hard to get into on turn 1. But as you can see, we Cram-O-Matic, discarding a Lost Vacuum, flipping heads to grab Battle VIP Pass, which we use to grab 2 Pokemon to put onto our bench, and then Ultra Ball to get yet another additional one. So Xander trying to set up his board as much as possible so that he can draw as many cards as possible. Choosing not to play either of the 2 cards that are currently in his hand out, would rather just draw the 2 cards and conserve those cards for later. Draws into the Forest Seal Stone, which we can use to potentially grab another Battle VIP Pass should we want to, but I think it's fine to just try to draw some cards outside of that and use the Forest Seal Stone for something more important later. I think most players would just immediately use the Forest Seal to grab Battle VIP Pass in this situation, but Xander is a skilled enough player to know that that's not entirely necessary. Just having the 4 Pokemon in play is perfectly fine for now. He's most likely not going to be going up against a deck that's playing Path to the Peak, unless it's specifically the Giratina version, and I think you're still favored against that anyway, because you can just, you know, knock them out for 2 prizes and keep the prize trade a little bit more favorable. And especially since these Giratina decks, the reason that the Giratina decks specifically were actually so good against Mew is because they could use Giratina's V-Star power to knock out a Mew, and then they could follow that up with a Drapion to knock out a Mew. And without Drapion, you can't use the V-Star power 2 times. So you end up having to do like a Lost Impact with a Cleansing Gloves, and I don't even know if a lot of them were even playing Cleansing Gloves anymore. So we're going to go for the Nest Ball for a Comfey, and then Colress's Experiment here. I think I would have used the Colress first and then the Nest Ball in case you do draw yourself into a Comfey. Then maybe you could grab something different like a Radiant Greninja maybe for your bench. But it looks like we are just going to go for the Colress after that and lost on a Comfey that we could have had in play. So yeah, also using the Nest Ball after does increase your odds of finding those basic Pokemon off the Colress. So yeah, I think I would have liked to see that a little bit more, especially since there's so many switching cards in hand here. I think it would have just behooved Ji-chun here to Ji-hun to just get more Comfeys in play. So we're going to play the Escape Rope. Does force the other Mew active. You don't want to put the Genesect active because it has a 2 retreat cost. You'll have to find one of your switching cards of your own. You want to conserve those for when you're attacking with the Mew's when you're copying Techno Blast so that you can reset the effect. Techno Blast, of course, is the attack of the Genesect. You can use the first attack of the Mew VMAX Cross Fusion Strike to copy the attack of a Fusion Strike Pokemon on your bench. So you copy Techno Blast. It says you can't attack next turn, but you do 210 minus 20 if you have the double turbo energy on it, but it's fine. 190 is still a very sizable number. And then you can reset that effect by being able to just retreat your Mew to the bench and then using like switching cart or escape rope to bring it back up. So pretty easy to do that. And it looks like Jihan here is just going for the Drapion turn 1. I don't like that play whatsoever. But it looks like maybe that was all that was available to him. Yeah, I think that I would have saved the Drapion turn for when I'm staring down a Mew VMAX, so I can take one additional prize card and get a lot more value out of it. Because, of course, Xander could always just put down a Lost City this turn and knock out the Drapion, and here it is. Oh, man. So, unless you're playing specifically double Drapion, this Drapion is gone for the rest of the game, and now you're potentially going to have to go through 2 Mew VMAXs in order to take your last 4 prize cards, and that is not a very favorable prize trade for you, because Mew just has so much HP at 310. You can use Sableye to put some damage onto the bench, but there are Mew decks that do play things like Volo or Penny to be able to remove those Genesects from the board and reset that damage. Also, Xander, it looks like he built a fully Japanese deck for this tournament. Since this tournament was being held in Japan, you were able to use Japanese cards instead of your normal language, but your whole deck needs to be that. And a lot of players did opt to buy Japanese decks, but like, aren't Cramomatics and Battle VIP passes like $20 cards in Japan? Like, after converting to USD? It seems a little bit interesting of a choice to me. Although they do look really cool. The cards in the Japanese cards look so much better than the English cards. Their holo patterns are just so much better. Looks like we are going to Forest Seal for the Ultra Ball. Might seem like a very interesting decision, but it does allow you to thin your hand of a couple more cards so you can draw even more with those Genesects. Now we have the Mew VMAX we were able to get off that Ultra Ball to be able to potentially knock this Drapion out this turn. We just need a double Turbo Energy and 1 Power Tablet, which I do know we had in hand before, so maybe we've already played that down and I missed it. Would make sense. We're going to use our own Lost Vacuum here to get rid of the Forest Seal Stone after we've already used that power. And we are going to Judge as well. So if we don't get the double turbo off of this, we do need to use Fusion Strike System to be able to find it off of our last Genesect, or at least find one more Genesect to be able to use 2 of the abilities left. And it's becoming a lot less likely that Xander's actually going to be able to take the knockout this turn. And if he doesn't, it's actually very favored for Jihan to win the game here now, because he could not only replace that stadium, but he could also take another 2 prize knockout with this Drapion at the very least. Oh, and it looks like I do remember this. I watched this game before. Xander did accidentally draw an extra card, and he saw it. So now he's going to get a 2 prize penalty, and that effectively loses him the game, especially if he cannot find this double turbo here. So I think I'm going to try to fast forward a little bit just through this judge interaction here, if we can. I don't know. Well, let's see. Can I just go forward a little bit? Can we go forward a little bit? Thank you. Okay. So, yep, so Xander's going to get a 2 prize penalty, which means that Jihan now has to take 2 less prize cards in order to win the game. So all he has to do now is knock out a Genesect at any point, and the game is his. Cram-O-Matic is going to flip a Tails, still not going to be able to find that double turbo energy. Gonna bench this Meloetta so we can draw the maximum amount off this Genesect. We get 1 more Cram-O-Matic, but we also get the double turbo, so we will be able to attack this turn. I think we've already played that one power tablet, so we should be able to take the knockout here because, again, with the double turbo, it reduces damage by 20. Cross Fusion Strike for Techno Blast will do 210 minus the 20 from double turbo will be 190. So with the power tablet, does allow you to do 220 for the knockout. And it goes straight to the Lost Zone because of the Lost City. But now Ji-hun has 4 turns, potentially, to be able to piece together 2 Sableye attacks onto a Genesect on the bench. So Xander not looking too good to be able to win this game. I think, honestly, if I were him, I probably would have just scooped here to save time and just gone into the next game. Just because, again, you only have about 41.5 minutes left to win 2 games. And being this far behind, especially against Lost Box, a deck that takes like 40 minutes to play a single game, is pretty rough. Although Ji-hun has shown that he is kind of bricking, he's not really getting too much going for him here. So maybe Xander will be able to pull this one out, but I think it's going to end up being one of those games where you're like always just like still slightly in the game and then just barely end up losing because of your own penalty. So it'll be weird to see whether or not we get there or not. So we're going to Lost Zone a boss's orders. That could potentially be relevant because if we ever wanted to go for a Dragonite play to boss up a Genesect and knock it out in one hit, now we might not be able to go for that because a lot of these Lost Box decks do only play 1 boss's orders. And Pokestop is going to mill 2 Mirage Gates and another item card as well. That's crazy. 3 item cards. I think that was an Echoing Horn as well. So you could always knock out Meloetta and then bring it back and then knock it out again and be able to play around the fact that your opponent could potentially be playing Penny or Volo and be extra safe that way. So yeah, if I were Xander, I think that I would just concede, go to next game. Ji-hun has 7 in the Lost Zone. He is going to find this Sableye off of the Nest Ball. We are likely, more than likely, going to see the Lost Mine this turn. We are going to Mirage Gate here. Ooh, we might actually see the Greninja attack here. That's equally as good, because you could knock out the Meloetta as well as putting 90 damage onto one of the Genesects, or you could ignore the Meloetta this turn and just put 90 to 2 Genesects, so that then if a Penny or Volo does come out, you still have the other one within range of Sableye to win the game. So actually, I do like that play better. I think you leave the Meloetta in the active. Yep, and gets double Sableye down to the bench as well. So we are going to be 1 Psychic Energy and 3 cards in the Lost Zone away from getting exactly there. Thinking about benching this Cramorant as well. I don't see why not. You could always knock out the Meloetta at some point as well. And yep, goes for the 90 to 2 Genesects. Exactly what I would have done there. Makes the most sense. They're both within range of the Sableye. Now we are going to see the Cramomatic here flipping heads finally. I think we've already flipped a couple tail. Well, I guess we're 50-50 on crams, right? I think that's the 4th cram of the game already. Or at least 3rd. We definitely failed 1. 2 Fusion Strike energies in hand, 1 power tablet. Not really much going for you here. I suppose you could just attach for turn to the active Elisa's Sparkle to finish powering it up and then go for the attack with the Meloetta, or you could just switch into the Mew VMAX, might feel a little bit better. Gonna go for the Heavy Ball to look at the prize cards. Nothing super helpful or relevant in there. Nothing that you can take off of that because there are no basic Pokemon. That is what the Heavy Ball search is for. Yep, so we are going to attach return to the active and Iono. So I guess we're just going to use that Fusion Strike energy as a way to retreat and limiting Ji-hun's hand size here. So the important thing with the prize penalty saying that he takes 2 less prize cards to win the game is a rule change that happened within the past few years. Before that, you would actually take 2 prize cards. They would go to your hand, but then the player who made that mistake could then end you to a smaller hand size, a 1 or 2 card smaller hand size because of that penalty. So they would sometimes intentionally give themselves a penalty in order to end you to a smaller hand size in order to more than guarantee that they win a game. So Pokemon changed the rules so that you take less. So this Iono does still draw Jihan 4 cards. Had the rules been the way they used to, a 2 prize penalty would have only given Jihan 2 cards off of this Iono. So, but looks like we have a Chorus's Experiment. That'll put us to 9 cards in the Lost Zone. We get a Lost Vacuum. We can always Lost Vacuum our opponent's thing, and looks like we got there. So, I think there's only 9 cards in the Lost Zone, though, because of the... I mean, he still had it, right? Because he had the Lost Vacuum. But, yeah, if the count was correct from the Pokemon team, whoever's running the actual stream there with the Lost Zone counter, if that was correct, they should have only been at 9, which would not have been able to attack with a Sableye. But I'm sure that Pokemon was just wrong, because they do have a hard time keeping track of the Lost Zone, especially since it's not always on camera. You can't just double check, double count to make sure that you have that count correct. And that is most of the reason why they have it on screen to begin with. But let's see if I can just... Nope, not that. Skip ahead a little bit here. Try to save us all some time, because they are going through some replays and everything. Want to get through any mulligans as well. Just get right into the action if we can. Something I can't do anymore on my own tabletop games, because I do have the round timer, and if I skip ahead, my round timer is off. But since they're keeping track of time, I can still skip ahead here. So that's one of the nice things about recording somebody else's game. So it looks like Xander is going to be able to go first here. We're going to heavy ball immediately to look at our prize cards. Again, there's a Mew VMAX in there, but there are no basic Pokemon, so we can't take anything with the Hisuian heavy ball. So we are going to replace those back. So yeah, had Xander scooped when I said that I felt like he should have, he would have at least another 4 minutes left on the clock. So that could potentially be relevant, but 4 minutes isn't that much time, so maybe it won't matter. But again, there's only 32 minutes left, and now he has to win 2 games. You don't want to take that tie. It's the same as a loss. Draws 1 card off of Fusion Strike system, just gets a Mew V, and passes. That's not very good. Although if he does have a Mew VMAX next turn, we can at least see 1 attack, so he's really not in the worst position possible. Also, Jihan does find the Drapion. If he wants to do that super greedy play that he did on the last game, he could, but I don't think that that's going to, again, I don't think that's going to really get him much of anywhere. Also zooming in on that nice London Worlds hat. So this is not his first World Championships he's played in. Looks like we are going to Lost Zone the Escape Rope. And the Cramorant actually does seem fine here. You definitely want to keep the Drapion. I don't think you want to attack with it this turn, though. I think there is at least 1 Comfey in the hand, and you can use Greninja's concealed cards to draw 2. Hopefully draw into another Pokemon or out to a Pokemon. And yes, we do draw into exactly Comfey. I think we draw into Comfey and Nest Ball, or we had the Comfey and we drew into Nest Ball, something like that. But yeah, do not be tempted to put down the Drapion, attach an energy to it, and then Escape Rope to knock something out, because that is a very bad play that you do not want to be going for. I mean, I've won games against Mew doing that, but you only do it when that's your only option. okay? You don't do that when you have other options. So we're going to nest ball here for another Comfey. Would I have liked to see a flower selecting before the nest ball to maximize the odds of finding another Comfey? Maybe not. Usually 2 Comfey is fine. Do have an escape rope. That would just put the other Mew V active. So I think it's fine to play the escape rope this turn and then go for... Ooh, he's going to Forest Seal with his Drapion. I don't know if I like this. I think I would hold off on that, because now your opponent can just Boss's Orders Evolved Knockout with a Power Tablet. I mean, I guess unless you're playing your own Path to the Peak, I guess that would be fine to put the Drapion down now. But he's going to use the 4 Seal Stones V-Star power to search for a Switch card, it looks like. And he's going to go for the Drapion attack again. Attaches for turn to it so that he can do that attack. Yeah, I don't like this because I think Xander can really capitalize off of this, even with a 1-card hand. Evolves, second Genesect, gonna be able to draw 3 cards, draws 2 Pokemon and a Choice Belt. He can draw 5 cards off this next Genesect, and this is exactly why you don't go for that play that we just saw. So now all we need is a double Turbo Energy in order to take the knockout onto this Drapion. We even get a Cram-O-Matic. We can get rid of that Battle VIP Pass. It's no longer turn 1. At the very worst, we've gotten rid of those 2 cards from the hand. Flipping Tails, that's perfectly fine. If we can find another Genesect, we will be able to draw some more cards this turn. And yeah, it looks like... So we're out of Genesect abilities. Do we have another way to maybe search our deck here? Gonna go for the Elisa Sparkle. We gotta choose 2 Pokemon here. My music's gonna stop on me again for no reason. Are you still watching, says YouTube? Yes, I am. Alright, we're gonna Elisa Sparkle to the... Oricorio is an interesting decision, but I suppose your opponent is less likely to knock that out, I guess. Also, the Oricorio does make it so the Drapion doesn't one-hit KO you. You live on 10. Right? Because it does 160 times 2 for weakness is 320. Minus 20 is 300. Yeah. Oricorio should save you from another Genesect attack. Or another Drapion attack. Just retreats into the Meloetta and passes. Yeah, this is not looking good for Xander. That could have been a very good turn for him, but... was just short the double Turbo Energy to be able to capitalize on the situation Jihan put himself in. And you hate to see games being won off of I put Drapion into play. I think you put the Oricorio up. I don't think you can put a 2-prizer up. Even though that will put Jihan to 3 prizes remaining, as long as you can remove Drapion the next turn by killing it with the Lost City, you should still be in an okay spot. So Concealed Cards is going to draw 2 more cards as we focus the camera away from the game so that we are not entirely clear on what is going on. Thank you, TPCI. And yet we are going to Escape Rope. So the Meloetta comes back up yet again. Battle VIP Pass going into the Lost Zone is perfectly fine. It's not first turn anymore. You can't play that. Quite a lot of cards in hand here for Jihan. Should have some definite options. If we haven't chorused this turn, we could even go for a Boss's Orders. Bring the Mew VMAX up, switch into the Drapion, take 5 prizes, and then you win off of a Sableye onto either 1-prizer that's left. Going for a 3rd Escape Rope of the turn to put the 3rd Comfey into the active spot. Flower selecting yet again. Yeah, we're still only at now 5 cards in the Lost Zone, so we still haven't really gotten that far into our Lost Zone advancement, even though we've been able to play through quite a few stuff. But we finally find a chorus. We are able to play that, getting rid of yet another Battle VIP pass off of this, and the Echoing Horn as well. I've chosen to actually not play Echoing Horn in my Lost Box deck anymore, just because I don't think I've ever used it once in Lost Box. Not since... when did Tord win a regional with Lost Box? It was in the 2018 in the 2022 season, right? Not the 2023 season. I'm pretty sure that's the last time I've ever actually used Echoing Horn, is when I was testing his version of the deck. I think it was Sable's art as well, if I'm remembering correctly, with like quad cross switcher. I could be wrong. I know it had quad cross switcher in it. We're going to see the Super Rod shuffling back into Psychics and a Water. The Psychics will be very valuable for that Sableye on a future turn. And here comes the Mirage Gate. Maybe we can see an attack with the Greninja this turn. We could actually knock out... Well, actually, no. The Oricorio should reduce the damage both Pokemon take by 20. So I think that you would again go for the double Genesect, just like you did in Game 1. Looks like we're looking at the prize card. There is another chorus and a boss's orders there. But looks like we are not going to go for the Greninja attack this turn, as much as I would like to see that. Yeah, because even through the Oricorio, you're still doing 70 to both Genesects, which is 120 left on each. So a really easy way to take those out with the Sableye. You haven't seen Volo or Penny from your opponent just yet, so I think it's probably safe to assume they don't play it, but then again, they could have just been holding on to it because it either didn't matter or Game 1 just went so poorly. Gonna Lost Vacuum. The Choice Belt off of the opponent's Mew is really great here because now they'll need to find a Power Tablet or another Choice Belt in order to be able to knock out the Drapion, which is definitely what you need to be doing on this next turn. Now the thing is, Jihan really wants to attack with something that's not Drapion this turn. He wants to be able to attack with Sableye, with the Radiant Greninja, just one of those cards so that he does not put up the Drapion and actually chooses to just pass. Yeah, I guess passing there is better. But now Xander could just find boss's orders and the other stuff as potentially possible. But looks like we are going to go for the Cleansing Gloves on it instead. He's probably playing 1 belt, 1 Cleansing Gloves. So might as well put the Cleansing Gloves on your only attacker that you really plan on using in this game. Finds the boss's orders here. So that is one of the pieces of this puzzle you're trying to put together. Brings up the Genesect. We will be able to retreat into the Mew, or we could use the Switch Cart in order to get there. Yeah, we need to draw some more cards to be able to ensure that we... Oh, we even still don't have the attack, I guess. If you find a Fusion Strike energy, you could attach that instead of the... Ooh, I like this play. Using the... Yeah, do not Lost Zone your opponent's own Forest Seal Stone. Lost Zone your own Cleansing Gloves with this Lost Vacuum. He gets rid of his own Mew VMAX, which is a little scary. But yeah, if he draws Fusion Strike energy, then he doesn't need to attach the double turbo, and he still hits for the full 210 to be able to knock out the Drapion in one hit. And he not only finds the Fusion Strike energy, but he also finds the Power Tablet so that he could have attached the double turbo energy either way. So definitely not punished from Xander here. He drew exactly what he needed. The only thing is he really wants to have another Mew V on the bench so that he has a way to pivot out of the Techno Blast. Again, Techno Blast making it so you cannot attack on the next turn. Needs to be able to find a switching card and a retreat potentially. But oh no, yeah, so the Ultra Ball finds the Mew V. I expected it to go on the right, but it went on the left, so I'm like, oh, he didn't find anything. No, he found it. So we're gonna... Oh, copy Melodious Echo. We don't even need to. I forgot he has 3 Fusion Strike energies in play, so he can copy Meloetta's Melodious Echo attack instead of Technoblast. Does the same 210 because it does 70 times the amount of Fusion Strike energies that are in play. And then it does not force you to be able to not attack next turn. So you can attack yet again without having to switch. Still gets that Mew V in play just in case this Mew VMAX in the active goes down if Jihan is playing like double Drapion in the deck or something. Still has a way to respond here. And I think at this point, if Jihan even has another Drapion somehow, or if he is able to, he can recycle the Drapion. It didn't go to Lost Zone because Xander was not able to find the Lost City. So yeah, Jihan could just Clara back the Drapion, or he could Super Rod it back into deck and Nest Ball it back out. Something like that. We do have the Nest Ball in hand. We just need to see the Super Rod, and we will be able to go for that attack. Then Xander can still respond with another knockout on that Drapion, going down to 2 prize cards remaining. He has the double turbo in hand, but he did Lost Zone one of his Mew VMAX. So we'll have to see if he even has the last Mew VMAX left available to him. I think he did prize... Did he prize a Mew VMAX this game? Am I thinking correctly? We're going to take time away from the game to look at that nice... the backgrounds and animations that they put on the TV screens, because that's more important than watching the actual match, right? We're not here to watch the match. We're here to look at the background. I mean, let's be real. It's a nice background, but let's look at that between rounds, please. Looks like we are going to go for the Sableye, knocking out the... Oh yeah, you couldn't knock out the Mew VMAX with a Drapion because of the Oricorio still. So we do knock out the Oricorio. We put the remaining 3 onto a Genesect. That still leaves it with 160, so I'm not sure if that last 3 damage counters is going to matter too much. So if you had Choice Belt in your Lost Box list, it would have been better to put the 3 onto the active Mew VMAX or the benched Mew V that was already there, because then you could Choice Belt your Dragonite and hit it for 280, plus the 3 that would be on it is 310, but not a lot of Lost Box lists play Choice Belt. A couple of people from my local area have been playing it. I haven't really found room for it. Just because I'm more worried about the Lost Box mirror match, so I've been playing a couple Pokegears in mind to make sure I can hit my Lost Zone numbers as fast as possible. Did actually play in a Win-a-Box tonight, and it was a free Win-a-Box at one of the malls in Albany, New York, and I ended up going 4-0-1. I ID'd the last round to split the first and second prizing with my last round opponent. We were the only 4-0s. Because it was safer that way. He was playing Arc, Duraludon, Umbreon. And that's not necessarily a great matchup for a Lost Box. The Pokemon just have too much HP. We did play it out after, and he kind of bricked, and I won. But I did find out I was playing around Iono by not knocking out his Pokemon. Like, he had like 40 left on a Duraludon VMAX for quite a while, and I just kept leaving it there, but it turns out he was playing Volo in his deck, so if he ever saw that, I would have lost the game. So prioritizing playing around Iono rather than expecting the Volo. I mean, it's still the correct choice, but it could have been very punishing. But had I decided not to split, I definitely would have gone undefeated and won the whole box. But splitting first and second prizing was like 3/4 of a box, and I ended up pulling the full art of the Charizard, as well as a secret rare Fire Energy and a full art Pidgeot as well. So I was pretty happy with my pulls. I pulled a few other things as well, but those were the key things. I got a Cloth EX. Anybody looking for a Cloth EX? Got an Alt-Art Bellybolt. An Alt-Art Gloom. Those are super playable cards, right? So Xander just knocked out the Sableye on the last turn. He's going to take another knockout here. Looks like Ji-hun was not able to put together another attack. So is Ji-hun able to find his Drapion again, as well as a way out of this path to the peak? And then we will actually see Ji-hun be able to win this game. But even if Xander is able to win this game, again, he is favored to do it. It will be a little rough on time. They only have 17 minutes left. But, I mean, if anybody can do it, it should be Xander. He's won regionals and things before. I remember the first time I heard of Xander is when he won in the finals of a regional in the 60-card Espeon Garb mirror. And I think that was around the time I was playing Espeon Garb as well. So for the rest of that season, I just solo ran with Espeon Garb, and I loved that deck. That was my favorite deck in that format, 2017 NAIC format. So we are going to go for the Mirage Gate here. We're going to be able to set up the Sableye so that can attack again. But again, what you really want to be doing is attacking with that Drapion. You want to find Lost Vacuum or a Stadium replacement in order to get rid of that path to the peak, and then either Clara or Super Rod with Nest Ball in order to get that Drapion back into play. You take your last 3 remaining prize cards. That Oricorio is already out of play. Fixed your prize cards to 3 remaining. If you don't get that here, you have maybe 1 turn left. Xander could be playing Echoing Horn Boss's Orders in his deck as well, which could just bring back the Drapion just to knock it out yet again. And that could spell danger for Ji-hun here, but he might still have another turn left. He's going to knock out the Meloetta, as well as putting 3 more damage counters onto the Genesect. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you spread it between the 2. Well, yeah, I guess it does put you at 2 prize cards remaining, so now you can win off of a Sableye. It just feels really bad to take prize cards like this because your opponent could always Iono you to a 2-card hand, and then you might not be able to piece anything together after that, especially under the path to the peak. But this also makes it so Xander is no longer able to use Melodious Echo, which is a pretty good trade-off, I would say. Now he would need to find a Power Tablet in order to copy Psychic Leap, or if he doesn't find the Power Tablet, he would have to attack with Techno Blast. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he definitely does not seem like he has another Mew VMAX left to him. I think his last one might be in those top 2 prize cards, because he did have to Lost Zone that one early in order to try to piece together just a playable hand. Looks like we are playing Boss's Orders to bring up a Comfey. The Comfey with the energy. I guess the Sableye does not take the knockout yet. You are 1 damage counter off, actually, from being able to knock out the Genesect. So that is actually really important. And it looks like we did Super Rod that Drapion back into the deck, and we do find it off this chorus, but do we have the Stadium replacement? There is 1 Pokestop in the discard pile. I know we've used at least 1 Lost... Oh, there is 1 Lost Vacuum in the Lost Zone. I think we've also played 1 as well. This deck usually plays 2 to 3 Lost Vacuums, so he might be out of them. And it does play 2 Pokestops. So, did we use 1 already? So certainly an interesting Lost Zone decision here. But yeah, Xander could definitely win this. He will win this on the next turn if Ji-hun cannot take the knockout this turn. He needs to attack with Drapion this turn into the active. Can he do it? Or at the very least somehow prevent Xander from taking a prize card next turn, but I don't think he can do that. Looks like we're going to Nest Ball out the Raikou. That probably telegraphs to Xander that the Drapion is already in hand, but we are looking for the way to get rid of Path. Can we do it? No. Still no way to remove the Path. I think Xander is actually going to win this game too, going into a game 3 with only 12 minutes left on the clock. Yeah, 16 cards in the Lost Zone for Jihan, and he still cannot find the cards he needs out of his deck. Retreats into the Comfey to find what exactly? The Lost Vacuum. But does he have another way to retreat? I think he would have already gone for it. But yeah, no. No, he finally finds it. But yeah, he one turn off from being able to win that game against Xander. And Xander is going to be able to take that game, and we'll go on to a game 3. Oops, I'm on the wrong thing here. I got 2 YouTube tabs open. It fast forwarded the wrong one. Oh, okay. So we've got double choice belt he is actually playing. So that is very relevant against the Drapion. The one Lost City is in the prize cards. He should be playing 2 of those, I would assume. And Jihan just draws and passes with a Cramorant active? Oh, that's not good. Does he even have a Chorus in hand? I don't think so. Yeah, this is a completely dead hand, and Xander might just be able to win the game just off of the fact that Jihan just Mega Ultra Super Bricked. Xander, trying to save time, just probably asked for a judge shuffle and threw the cards there. And the judges are like, no, you do it. The judges should be able to do that for you as long as you ask. But maybe Xander was just rushing so much that he didn't ask. You can see his hands are actually shaking. A player of his caliber with shaking hands at this point. He knows that he's about to get into day 2 of the World Championships if he plays this correctly. Goes for the attach for turn to the Mew and Power Tablets. We might actually see enough Power Tablets to be able to take the knockout with Psychic Leap this turn. Would actually be completely incredible, but Xander knows exactly what his outs are with the cards that he has in hand, if he will exactly be able to get to it or not. Yeah, Jihan not looking too happy here. So we've got 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're doing 100 damage right now with Psychic Leap. We need to find one more Power Tablet and another Fusion Strike Energy. There's the Fusion, an Elisa Sparkle. We drew a Fusion Strike Energy instead of the Elisa Sparkle. We have a Power Tablet again in hand, but we did not quite get there. So instead, we're going to use the first attack of the Mew to search our deck for an energy card and attach it to one of our Fusion Strike Pokemon. Energy Mix is the attack. That is not an attack you normally see. Xander did whiff the knockout that he wanted. You definitely have to go for it if you have it available to you. So that was the correct play to do that, but it's very unfortunate. He did lose on not only a Path to the Peak, but also a Lost City in order to do that. So now he could be super punished by a Drapion. Just another draw pass. And now all that we have to do is Power Tablet, attach for... Oh, wait, what do we have here? Oh, we're trying to play out as many cards as we can. So we Power Tableted. We can still go for a Psychic Leap if we draw one more, find one more Power Tablet, because we're hitting for 100 right now. We flip heads. We can find either the Mew VMAX or the other Power Tablet and be able to win the game off of either of those cards. And Xander is able to win that match off of the power of that Cramomatic. That is absolutely crazy. As always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It is very important for that YouTube algorithm. If you are enjoying the content on this channel, make sure you do those things above, because it helps me out, helps you out to see more games like this come up on your feed, and we will see you guys next time. Xander made it into day 2 at 6-0. You love to see it.